In this episode, we're going to talk about the fundamentals of creating your $1 million messaging. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. All right, welcome back to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Now, this episode is going to be one that I love. And the reason why I love it is because this is exactly what we do inside of our company. So this is one of the biggest problems that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, and even people in marketing, people that have degrees in marketing, that go to school for marketing. They don't understand a lot of the concepts we're going to talk about today. So this is something that I've learned over the years. This is something that I've practiced and we continue practicing. We've mastered. And so a lot of people don't know this. We have an agency side of our business. So we sell courses. Yes, we sell programs. We sell group programs, mentorship programs as well. But a lot of the reasons why we're as good as we are at what we do is because we have an agency side. So you'll hear me say this all the time. Knowing is different than knowledge. And if I learn how to do something just for my business and my company, and then I teach it, I'm not going to be able to teach it or know it as well as someone who's done it for 200 different businesses in various different niches. And that's why I love our agencies so much, and working with a lot of clients and the top people in our space, is because it allows us to take our Video 4X methodology, our messaging frameworks, and be able to dial them in so deep that no one else can get as deep with messaging as we can. And not to toot my own horn, but to kind of like set the stage of what you guys are about to learn. We've literally had 30-year like marketing veterans that have worked in the corporate world, in the executive stage, who go through the Video 4X process and our messaging process. They're like, I have never heard any of this stuff before. It's blowing my mind. I've been in marketing. No one talks about this and no one does this. I've worked with copywriters. I've worked with all these people throughout the years, and no one has talked about messaging in the way that you guys are, or done it in the way that you have done it. And I want to set that stage because I think this is something that's very well and easily overlooked by a lot of businesses and entrepreneurs, and especially by local businesses. Oh my gosh. Local businesses, they basically focus on their skill or trade, and then that's it. Like, they're like, I make a good cup of coffee, so I'm just going to like open up shop and depend on like foot traffic, or, I'm just going to put an ad up in Yellow Pages, and they don't actually focus on the brand, the messaging, the business, the systems, the processes. And that's why a lot of local businesses stay stuck, is because they built themselves a job versus an actual company. But I want to talk about first is like, what's the difference between messaging and content? So I think the biggest mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make is they focus on content first. And they go, okay, great. We need to market. We need to get our stuff out there. We need some kind of like social media presence. Maybe they watch a couple of Gary Vaynerchuk videos, and all he does is talk about how to push content, do content, add value, content. But there's something that has to happen first before content. And that's why there could be like 10 different entrepreneurs that watch the same Gary Vaynerchuk video, that all go out and they produce content that quote unquote is valuable, but they all get different results. It's because it's what's being said in the content. And so that's where messaging comes in. Messaging comes in is messaging is the way that people experience your brand. It's the way that the ecosystem is set up of communication, meaning that someone can hear you on a podcast, someone can hear you watch a video of yours, they could read a blog post and see an ad copy, and it all fits underneath the brand ecosystem of messaging. It's how we communicate. It's how we create demand. And if you're not paying attention to messaging, you're probably doing a massive disservice to your company. So if you're doing things like attracting the wrong people, so you're like, oh, I hate working, I just attract the worst people. The people I attract just never have any money, or the people that I attract just have the wrong values, or that's a messaging problem. Or like you have the thought of like, people just don't understand what I do. That's a messaging problem. Messaging is what tells people what you do. Messaging is what positions you in the marketplace. It's what separates you from everyone else. So there's a lot that goes into branding, but in my opinion, messaging is the number one thing. Messaging is the copy, it's the communication, it's your content, it's how people perceive you in the marketplace. So again, if you've had issues of attracting the wrong people, not attracting anyone, maybe they're watching content, but you're not getting any sales, you're stuck in what we would call the unheard entrepreneur trap, which means your messaging is all jacked up. You're the type of person that knows, like, you want to get to the top of the mountain and scream, I can help you. My service can help you, my program can help you, but no one seems to pay attention to what you're doing. You have a messaging problem. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about some of the misconceptions about messaging. What are the elements we need inside of $1 Million messaging? The reason why we call it $1 Million messaging is because that's what our messaging does. to be honest with you, our messaging churns companies into million or multi-million dollar companies. We've worked with James Wedmore, for example, on the messaging of his video series, and we helped him in the process of doing $800,000 launches to $5 million launches. We've helped Caitlin Batcher create a brand new program from scratch and scale it to $1 million in the first year. We've client after client after client sees this, and we've boiled it down to what we call $1 Million messaging framework. And we're going to give you guys that process and kind of the elements of it to today. Now, before we dig into the very first step, I want to make one thing very clear. Most people will think and listen to what I'm talking about, and they'll take it in a completely wrong way. And they think that they have to continually do new stuff all the time. New content, new videos, new messaging. Messaging will evolve. It's a living, breathing organism, in my opinion. It's a beautiful piece of art, in my opinion. That's how much I love it. But it changes. You adapt. It changes to the marketplace. It changes to society. It changes to how the environment is. It changes to you as the business owner, the entrepreneur, to how you're growing. So it will change over time. But it's also something where you're going to feel like you're repeating yourself a lot. And I think most people get hung up on this thing. If your messaging is dialed in, it means you should be repeating yourself a lot. Every time I go on you listen to 10 different podcast episodes that I've been on, you're going to hear the same thing over and over and over again. And the reason for that is because we have an ecosystem of our messaging. We know the pain points. We know the struggling avatar. The struggling avatar is something that we created, but it's basically the identity of who we're talking to. And we repeat that over and over and over again. And sometimes it takes people 5, 10 times to hear the same thing. And what most people don't understand is even when you're repeating yourself, your audience is growing. So yes, they might have heard you on day one say something. I don't know what it would be, but let's just say it's something. And then they hear you on day 365. So they've been following you for a year, and they hear you say the same thing. The person and the business owner they were on day one is different than how they're going to be on day 365, which means even though they heard you say the same thing, they will perceive it differently because they're a different person with a different lens. So I'm going to say that again. When you repeat yourself, your messaging is consistent, and people will still come back because even if they hear you say the same thing 5 times, they are growing as a business owner and as a person, which means every time you grow, you get a new lens. You look at the world differently. You hear things differently. You have a different perception. So even though they might hear the same thing, they hear it differently. So I'll give you guys an example before we move into the very first step. An example of this might be me telling someone that messaging focuses on beliefs, which is something that we do focus on. Like our messaging focuses on identifying beliefs. Well, if someone heard that and they don't actually understand what qualifies a belief, they go like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But then they actually 3 months later understand what a belief is, how a belief is formed. And I say it again, messaging is based off of beliefs. Well, they now have a different level of understanding. They now have a different lens. They have a different perception, and they go like, oh, wow. That piece of advice hits them on a different level now because of the growth that they had in that 3 months. So again, messaging needs to be consistent. You must feel like you're repeating yourself, and that's all a good thing. And you're still going to be adding an immense amount of value to people because they're going to grow as a person and as a business owner or whoever your audience is. So their level of perception will change, which means they will hear what you're saying differently every time you say it, which is a beautiful thing in my opinion. So let's talk about the very first thing. This is where most $1 Million messaging needs to stem from, and this is where most people mess up, is it needs to be unique and it needs to play into identity. And I think that people mess this step up because they don't take the time to actually look through what identity actually is. And identity's in everything when it comes to copy, when it comes to messaging, when it comes to content. Most people will get too scattered with identity. And I'll just give you guys a quick example. Let's say I wanted to start a business going after entrepreneur dads because I wanted to create a coaching program or let's just call it a membership site where entrepreneurs that are also fathers can come together and support each other. And I wanted to create a platform where they can come in and support. We can have training videos and have a community and things like that. Literally all I need to do is, like, in the title of my videos, just put in things like entrepreneurs make the best fathers, or fathers tend to be the most successful entrepreneurs. The only people that are going to like really click on that and watch it are going to probably be parents and entrepreneurs, but specifically dads and entrepreneurs. And the only reason why I can guarantee it's going to be them and that they're going to resonate with the content is because I took the identity of who they were and put it straight into the title of my content. Like, it's as easy as that. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be complicated. But we also want to make ourselves unique. The thing is people won't come out and make bold statements like that. They won't say things like entrepreneurs make the best fathers. But if you truly believe that and you put a piece of content out there, it's going to be polarizing to people that aren't fathers but are also entrepreneurs. You're going to gain traction. But you're being unique, and you're being unique because you have messaging that's on either the right side or the left side. You're not playing in the middle anymore. It allows you to stand out. The problem is everyone's so afraid of being judged and being liked that they will play in the middle. And what's ironic is that no one pays attention to you. So no one even has the opportunity to like you or to judge you. Like, one of the things I've learned too, and I got this from one of my mentors, is that people are going to judge you no matter what you do. Like, I would rather do what I want to do, be fulfilled, create what I want to create, be happy, and be judged for that versus not doing what I want to do, not saying what I want to say, and being judged for that. So let me give you guys a couple of examples of how this might play out. So we have there's a lot of local breweries popping up. There's a brewery that just started here. I'm in Thousand Oaks, Newbury Park, Thousand Oaks. There's a new brewery that popped up called Tarantula Brewery. Well, a lot of people don't know this, but tarantulas actually are native here in Southern California. A lot of San Diego, but they're out here too. And there's a hill called Tarantula Hill, which is right next to the brewery. So what they did is they named it Tarantula Brewery. So already it's incorporating the identity of the local residents because that's part of the space here. And really it's like the deep locals. A lot of people that just move here may not really know that, but if you've grown up here, you know that their tarantulas are here and all that stuff. So whatever, Tarantula Brewery. Well, what they've done is every single one of the beers is named after local things. So we have a big grade out here that goes from Thousand Oaks to Camarillo. There's a beer called The Grade. There's another beer called Tarantula Hill. There's another beer called, I think it's Lancer something, but Lancer is the mascot of Thousand Oaks High School. So they've incorporated the identity and the local spots into the naming and positioning of the brewery. Now, there's another brewery out here in Thousand Oaks called Dude's Brewery, but they don't play into the identity of anything other than being a dude. So the positioning is a little more wide and general, but when we can get very specific, what happens is when you get very specific on the identities that you want, number one, you're unique because likely no one's doing it. Number two, you're the pick that niche identity will want. So instead of being very generalized and getting 10% of the market, you're getting a little more niche with your identities, and you might be getting 80% of the market. And you're generally going to be more successful because then those people are going to bring their friends and bring them into the business. But when you don't have the right identities and you don't have the right audiences and you don't have all of that stuff figured out, it tends to become a really hot mess really quick. So when we look at online businesses, so a lot of you guys are probably course creators or program creators or service providers. Let's look at how this works for you. What I always do, and if you're a personal brand, kind of like the direction of where we're going, we have to look at who the face of the company is going to be. So that would be me. What we do is we look at what my core values are. And I go through, and there's hundreds of them. So find your top 10 and put them in order of like top core values. So when you look at mine, for example, it's family number one, entrepreneurship number two, let's just say success, entrepreneurship number two, money's number three, and integrity is like number 3 or 4 too. Like those are my top 4. And the reason why money's in there is because I view the more money you have, the bigger impact you can create. And I believe that's my core. So when we look at that and we look at our message, I look at, okay, what core values do I want to incorporate into my brand? Well, we incorporate parents a little bit, and that's why, we talk about kids and entrepreneurship in the podcast. But we definitely talk about, entrepreneurship, and we definitely will talk about money, and we will talk about integrity and personal development and stuff like that. But when you identify your top core values, what you're actually doing is you're really picking your top 4 identities in order of importance to you. So when we look at mine: family, entrepreneurship, money, integrity. I am a father, an entrepreneur. That's a huge part of my identity. I am, success was number 2. I'm a successful entrepreneur. Number 3 is money. So and I also view, if you're going to be a business owner, money needs to be in one of your top core values. Otherwise, you're just going to struggle. And the reason why is you need revenue, you need money. So, and the last one is integrity. And I view myself as a person, with integrity, and I try to strive to live in integrity all the time. Now, if someone created a piece of content that said entrepreneurs make the best parents, or being a parent and having integrity is the best thing an entrepreneur can have, I'm going to click on that article. So when you're looking at your own messaging, look at the core values that you want to incorporate into your business, what identities are attached to that, and then start using that in your content. That will guarantee that you pull in the right people. So if you have the wrong people in your space and in your audience right now, it's because you are pulling in the wrong identities. When you understand this concept, you can literally handpick exactly who you want to be in your audience. And hardly anyone does this. Why? Because they listened to a Gary Vaynerchuk video that told them to go add value and put out content, and they don't take into consideration the messaging behind it. Yes, we need content. Yes, we need to add value, but there's a step, which is messaging, before that happens. So I'm going to move on to number 2, but I want to give you guys one more example. This is something that, most people don't know this, but I have a goal in 2021 to actually start a coffee shop, the New Generation Coffee, which is going to be a place where we can kind of build entrepreneurship and create a place where you can go to work at a coffee shop. I'm not going to get into that, but this whole coffee shop thing is really fresh in my mind. And so, and I look at how do we apply a lot of these concepts into local businesses? And so here's how I would do it if we were going to start. If I started a coffee shop just for the fact of making money and being successful, I would actually make a coffee shop for parents. And the whole identity that we would go after would be parents. I wouldn't create just a coffee shop that people would come to, like a generalized coffee shop, because there's so many. I'm looking at how do I position myself and how do I make myself unique, but how do I play into a very specific identity? And in my opinion, this is one of the best ways to recession-proof your business. So what I would do is I would start a coffee shop. I would call it coffee for parents or parent coffee or whatever. All the drinks would be things that parents would like. So it'd be the red eye latte because you've been up all night changing diapers, or it could be something like the diaper changing, this is probably an awful name, diaper changing, whatever. This is like match cracker. This is like idea gone bad, but it'd be like the diaper changing cappuccino because you've been up all night changing diapers or something. But the idea here is the drinks would represent something that parents would find funny, or they're like, oh my God, that's totally my life. But what we would also do is we would have places for the kids to go, like a little area where the kids can go, kind of like how McDonald's and fast food places have the kid playground. Why don't coffee shops have that? Because I know 1.5 million parents would go there just to drop their kids off. Then when you play into the identity of the parent, that's where they're going to go for their coffee. Now, if you have good coffee on top of that, great. But people aren't going to go there because the coffee's good. They're going to go there because it's catered to the identity. It reinforces the identity. You get the identity. And then you understand the pain points, which is why you have the play area at a coffee shop. Moms all day long and dads all day long are going to go there and have actual conversations. And that could be the mission statement of the coffee shop. It could be we create an environment where kids get to have fun and parents get to have an actual conversation. And that could be the whole mission statement. Now imagine putting out content that reinforced the identity of the parent. You as parents have it really hard. One of our connection pieces could be, we get you as parents. We understand you as parents. The reason why this exists is we want you to have a conversation, be an adult, gain your identity of who you are, and have an hour to relax in the mornings so that you're refreshed and become a better parent. That's why we do what we do. Every parent is going to be coming into that coffee shop. Even when you're in a recession, they're still going to buy coffee. They're going to buy it from you because you play into the identity. So identity and being unique is absolutely important. The next thing, and this is really is a pet peeve, but I want you to really listen to this. And if you find yourself doing what I'm about to describe, I don't want you to be offended. I don't want you to freak out. I don't want you to get filled with fear and anxiety. I want you to change. I want you to pivot. I want you to listen to what I'm actually saying without feeling like I'm coming down on you. What's been taught inside the online space for a really long time, and even in local business space, is that you need to focus your content on keywords, survey results, popular topics. And what I want you to do is to start focusing on what you want to talk about. What is your message? What makes you unique? The whole reason why we created this podcast is because it's what I want to talk about. It's what's uniquely me. No one else is going to talk about the things that I talk about in the way that I talk about it because it's my passion. It's uniquely me. Sure, there might be overlap somewhere, but who cares? No one's going to copy this 100%. They can't. It's mine. It's me. It's who I am. And so what happens is when you start focusing on keywords, survey results, popular topics, is you start letting those things dictate your message. So I understand the value in all of that stuff, and I'll talk about that in a second. But what happens is if your focus on creating content is just on what keyword has the most search results, you literally have no message. Your content is dictated on what's going to give you the most clicks. And yes, someone might be searching. They might find your video, they click on it, and then you can hope that they go and they buy your product and buy your service or whatever it is. When you look at survey results, and you say like, hey, audience, tell me what you want to hear from me. I'm going to create that for you. You now let your audience dictate what your message is going to be. You let them dictate what you want to talk about. And then you lose all control of your messaging, your positioning, and your brand. And people do this over and over and over again. Then they go like, why do I not have the audience? Why are they not resonating? Why is no one listening? And the problem is with survey results is that you're serving the audience you already have. But if your content was all messed up and jacked up in the first place, then you have an audience that is not even aligned with your message. And then you listen to them and then you let them further take you down this rabbit hole of a place that you don't want to be. And the same thing with popular topics as well. You don't want to go after popular topic because that's just short-term gains. What we want to look at is long-term. Now, what I am going to say is that you should figure out the message first. And we have a process for that inside our Video 4X program. It's identifying how do you want to shift your space, change your space with thought reversals. It's like, how do we build connection and rapport? And then how do we have like education and authority type content? But what I say is identify those things first. What is your deeper purpose? What are the things that you want to talk about? How do you want to connect with people? What are the identities you want to do and all of that stuff, and figure out what your message is first. Then look at popular keywords. Great. I know what my messaging ecosystem is. What popular keywords can I go after that fit underneath that? Because now you're going after the popular keywords and getting the SEO and getting all that stuff, but it's still an alignment of the message. It's not dictating the message. Same thing with survey results. Survey your audience and use it as an indicator to see, okay, are they in alignment with what I want to talk about? No. Well, that means my content was all jacked up because I attracted those people in the first place. Or look at it, go, great, they told me they want this topic that fits into alignment of my messaging ecosystem. I will do that video, but I'm not going to do these other 9 because it's not something that I want to talk about. Same thing with popular topics. If there's a popular topic or something going on in your space, look and find the ones that fit underneath the messaging ecosystem and are things that you want to talk about. Because I can tell you right now, if you don't do this, you're going to start talking about things that you don't want to talk about. You're going to resent the work. It's not going to be passion-based. It's not going to be in alignment. People aren't going to resonate with it. And you're going to go down a really slippery slope. So you have to take control of your message. And what starts to happen, if you guys are struggling with content, you're that unheard entrepreneur that we talked about, I'm willing to bet you guys are doing a lot of that stuff. You're focusing on keywords. You're focusing on survey results and popular topics. And what tends to happen is when you focus on those things, you tend to make all of your content 100% or 90 or even 80% based how-to educational content, because you've been ingrained into this idea that adding value means I need to teach. So if you're a coffee shop, you teach how to make a cup of coffee, how to do this, how to do this. If you're a fitness instructor, you're talking about how to lose weight, how to do this exercise over and over and over again. The problem is, and if you're watching us in the video version, I have a what I'm making with my fingers is the content circle of death. If you're listening the audio version, just imagine a circle. The circle is your niche. The circle is basically your space. That circle is going to get bigger over time because more and more people are going to look online. They're going to need problems. It's going to get bigger. But the problem is if you're the first one to a space, you're going to see success with how-to content because all of these people inside your niche are going to look to you as the authority. The problem is then when you have competitor A, competitor B, competitor C, competitor D, and you go on and on and on, that circle, which is your niche, is being split in half, in thirds, in quarters, and it goes on and on and on and on. And the reason why it gets split in half is because you're not the only expert with your zone of genius. All of your experts and all of your competition are going to teach 70% the same thing as you. Don't believe me? Go to YouTube and search for anything, how to do anything. You're going to get 10 to 20 to 30 different results, and they're almost all going to teach you the exact same stuff. So you blend in with everyone else. That's why if you're being consistent, you're doing all the things the gurus tell you to do, you're not seeing the results you want. It's because you're literally blending in with everyone else. And if you are seeing success with how-to content, what's probably happening is that people are connecting with you on something you're not aware of. They like your personality. They like your tone of voice. There's something going on. So what we want you to do is to operate outside the content circle of death. You can still do your how-to content, but we got to figure out the different types of content. And we call those connection pieces, thought reversal pieces, and different stuff like that. In fact, if you guys want more training on thought reversals, you can go to the link. It's around this video somewhere. And go ahead and grab free training. I think it's pages.soldwithvideo.com/TR for thought reversal, I think is what it is. But anyways, there's a link around here. You can go to our website. We have a full training on thought reversals, which will help you with one of those types of content. But you can't be operating inside the content circle of death. And also what happens is when you focus on only how-to, only educational, keywords-based stuff, you start selling the steak and not the sizzle. So I went to a steakhouse locally around here, and this is literally how they sell their steaks. Like we were the first ones there, first ones in the restaurant. They're still kind of like setting up. We sit down and they walk through the entire restaurant with a super hot skillet that was with boiling butter, onions, and garlic. And they would walk through the entire restaurant and get this aroma of cooking garlic, butter, and onions. And it smelled delicious. But they do that because they want you to order the steak. They're not sitting there saying, hey, welcome to the restaurant. Today we have, the grade AAA Wagyu beef, blah, 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 blah. They're selling you through the sizzle. They're selling you through the smell and the aroma of the things the steak is cooked in. And so many people focus on selling the steak, which is, here's what my product does. Here's how you're going to solve that problem. Here's what my service is going to do for you, instead of selling the sizzle. So you want to focus your messaging on selling the sizzle. This is like shifting perspective, reinforcing their identity. This could be things like talking about not only what the benefits of your program are, but the pain they're going to get rid of from your program. That's all selling the sizzle. Okay. The last thing that I kind of want to go through, or the second to last thing that I want to go through, is that people, and that leads me right into that value inside of messaging is deeper than just education. So a lot of people focus on education-based content and education-based messaging because you sell a service, you sell a coaching program, you sell a course, and you think that educating people on helping solve their problem is going to gain trust, and therefore you're going to sell your stuff. But it doesn't work like that. And if it did, then you would have the results that you want. So continuing to do the same thing over and over and over again is not going to fix your messaging problem. So again, what we focus on is we focus on thought reversals, connection, videos, and ending suffering. So we'll get deeper into this into another video, but one of the things we focus on is beliefs. What are the beliefs the audience has? What is the belief the industry has? And how do we actually shift the belief? What belief do they hold that causes suffering? So for example, one of the beliefs a lot of people have is that you have to hustle your face off in order to be successful, and you can't stop hustling, otherwise you're going to get left behind. And we could use a thought reversal video, and literally all we need to do is just come out and say, really, does everyone who work hard and hustle become successful? Well, obviously the answer is no. So you could work your butt off and have nothing to show for it. So clearly working hard doesn't guarantee success. And what I just did in 3 sentences is took a belief that someone had and completely shifted it. And there's a process to that. And again, if you guys want the training on that, we have it either around this video, or you can go to URL or go to our website or whatever and go grab it. But you have to focus on content that goes deeper than just education. Value is done in a ton of different ways. And so that's number 3. Number 4 is also focusing your messaging on a deeper purpose. So when we look at McDonald's doesn't sell the hamburger. McDonald's is crap food. Like, no one's going to agree that it's healthy, high grade, high quality food. You might think it tastes good or bad. That's not the point. The point is it's not good food. Like, everyone, I think, can agree to that. But they still sell billions and billions and billions of this. Why? Because they sell happy. They sell happiness. They have the playgrounds for the kids. They sell happy meals. They have a clown as their spokesman. They sell happiness. They're not selling the high quality food that they have. There's a deeper purpose in what they actually do. So what I see a lot of people do over and over and over and over and over and over again is they sell the product, they sell the education, and the purpose or the why behind the company is something like, I'm a copywriter, so my why is I want to help entrepreneurs create impactful copy. That's my why. The problem with that is no one's going to rally behind you helping entrepreneurs write better copy. However, if you said something like, I write impactful copy so that we can help entrepreneurs shift society norms so that people are more fulfilled in the world, people will get behind that. And you have to look at and the way to find your deeper purpose is to imagine you had 10,000 people go through your program, go through your service, go through your course, and they're on the other side. They had the result. So if you're a copywriter, they now are helping people write impactful copy. That's the result. You now have those 10,000 people that are doing the result. They're unleashed in the world. You push them out into the world. What effect is now created on the world? That's the deeper purpose. And it could be anything you want, but it's not the result. So when you write connection pieces, you write your purpose, the mission statement of the company, it should focus on the deeper purpose. When I open up a coffee shop, if I ever open up a coffee shop for parents, I'm not going to talk about my mission statement isn't going to be, we have a place for parents to come. It's going to be things like, I want you to have a better relationship with your kids because you get an hour to yourself every morning that you didn't have before. I want you to be rested and I want you to be relaxed because you're going to be a better parent. Our whole goal is to create better family structures and create better parents because we're now finally giving them a break. And do you notice how I didn't say anything about coffee? Nothing about coffee. That's the deeper purpose. That's why people are going to rally behind you. That's why people are going to come to you over and over and over again. That's why people are going to rave about you, is because of the deeper purpose. Okay. If I'm a real estate agent, I would be putting out a ton of content talking about how I help families become happier because I put them in better homes. And when people are happier, we have a better community. So I literally help the community be happier because of what I do. People will rally behind that. So again, remember, this deeper purpose is the thing that's going to build loyalty. It's going to be the thing that people come to you because you're reinforcing identity. You are unique, which means you stand out. You have a deeper purpose that they can rally behind. You're not stuck in the content circle of death anymore. You're focusing on value that's deeper than just education. And those are kind of the 4 elements that we love to see inside of $1 Million Messaging. This is how we've built brands that have done millions and multi-million dollars. This is how we've been able to scale the Video 4X in our brand into a multi-million-dollar company. This is how every business we're going to start from here on out is going to follow this foundation. So those are the 4 elements to $1 Million Messaging. Again, if you guys want to learn more about this and thought reversals, we definitely have free training. So go to the link either around this video, depending on where you're watching this. Go to our website. I don't know, heck, even email support@soldovideo.com and we'll give you the link for free training on this. But with that said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was enlightening for you guys when it comes to messaging, when it comes to content. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would absolutely love a review on iTunes. If you felt like we deserved a 5-star review, go ahead, leave a 5-star review. I would be so grateful and so honored. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.